Once upon a time, in a small village nestled in the foothills of a great mountain range, there lived a young girl named Lila. Lila was known throughout the village for her impeccable cleanliness. She always had the cleanest clothes, the shiniest shoes, and the most polished nails. Everyone admired her cleanliness, and many even envied her for it. One day, Lila was walking by the river when she saw a group of children playing in the water. They were splashing around and having a great time, but Lila noticed that their hands were dirty and covered in mud. She felt a pang of disgust and immediately turned away, not wanting to have anything to do with them. As she continued on her way, she noticed that her own hands were starting to get a little dirty. She felt a twinge of panic and immediately headed back to her house to wash them. But as she stood in front of the basin, scrubbing away at her hands, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. She felt guilty for turning away from the children at the river, and she realized that her obsession with cleanliness was causing her to miss out on the joys of life. From that day on, Lila made a conscious effort to let go of her need for cleanliness and embrace the messiness of life. She started playing with the children at the river, getting her hands dirty and splashing around with them. She even took up gardening, reveling in the feel of soil between her fingers and the earthy smell of plants. Over time, Lila became known not just for her cleanliness, but for her kindness and generosity. She had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In the bustling city of New York, there lived a successful businessman named Jack. Jack was a man who took great pride in his work, and he always made sure that everything he did was perfect. He spent long hours at the office, often staying well into the night to make sure that everything was just right. One day, as Jack was walking to work, he noticed a homeless man sitting on the sidewalk. The man was dirty and disheveled, and he held out a cup, begging for spare change. Jack felt a wave of disgust wash over him, and he hurried past the man, not wanting to have anything to do with him. But as he sat at his desk, staring at his computer screen, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. He realized that his obsession with perfection was causing him to become cold and detached, and that he was missing out on the human connections that made life worth living. From that day on, Jack made a conscious effort to let go of his need for perfection and embrace the messiness of life. He started volunteering at a local shelter, serving meals to the homeless and listening to their stories. He even started taking more breaks at work, spending time chatting with his coworkers and getting to know them better. Over time, Jack became known not just for his success, but for his kindness and compassion. He had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In the heart of the Amazon rainforest, there lived a young woman named Anna. Anna was a skilled hunter and gatherer, but she was also known for her aversion to dirt and germs. She spent hours each day cleaning her living space, washing her hands, and boiling her water to ensure that everything was as clean as possible. One day, Anna was out in the forest gathering fruits and nuts when she came across a group of monkeys playing in the trees. They were swinging from branch to branch and chattering excitedly, but Anna noticed that their fur was matted and dirty. She felt a sense of disgust and immediately turned away, not wanting to have anything to do with them. But as she continued on her way, Anna realized that her obsession with cleanliness was causing her to miss out on the beauty and wonder of the forest. She felt guilty for judging the monkeys based on their appearance, and she decided to try to see things from their perspective. Over time, Anna started to spend more time in the forest, exploring and observing the animals that lived there. She even started to leave her living space a little messier, embracing the natural dirt and dust that came with living in the jungle. Eventually, Anna became known not just for her hunting and gathering skills, but for her deep connection to the forest and its inhabitants. She had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In the bustling city of Tokyo, there lived a young man named Kenji. Kenji was a hard-working student, always striving for academic excellence. He spent long hours studying and completing assignments, often sacrificing his social life in the process. One day, Kenji was walking to class when he saw a group of street performers playing music on the sidewalk. They were singing and dancing with joy, but Kenji noticed that their instruments were worn and battered. He felt a sense of superiority and immediately turned away, not wanting to associate with anything that wasn't perfect. But as he sat in class, staring at his textbooks, Kenji couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. He realized that his obsession with academic achievement was causing him to become isolated and disconnected from the world around him. From that day on, Kenji made a conscious effort to let go of his need for perfection and embrace the chaos and unpredictability of life. He started attending music concerts and art exhibitions, immersing himself in the creative expression of others. He even started volunteering at a local community center, teaching children how to play the piano and guitar. Over time, Kenji became known not just for his academic achievements, but for his passion for music and his dedication to helping others. He had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In a small village in rural India, there lived a young woman named Sita. Sita was known for her dedication to her family and her community, always going out of her way to help others. But she was also known for her reluctance to take care of her own needs, often putting the needs of others before her own. One day, Sita was walking along the riverbank when she saw a group of women washing clothes in the water. They were laughing and chatting as they scrubbed the garments clean, but Sita noticed that their hands were red and raw from the harsh soap and water. Feeling a sense of compassion, Sita offered to help the women with their washing. As she dipped her own hands into the water, she felt a sense of shock at how dirty and calloused they had become. She realized that she had been neglecting her own self-care, so focused on taking care of others that she had forgotten to take care of herself. From that day on, Sita made a conscious effort to take care of her own needs, as well as the needs of others. She started setting aside time each day to take a relaxing bath and apply lotion to her hands, as well as engaging in activities that brought her joy and fulfillment. Over time, Sita became known not just for her selflessness, but for her balance and contentment. She had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In a quiet village nestled in the Swiss Alps, there lived a young man named Hans. Hans was known for his love of adventure and exploration, always seeking out new experiences and challenges. But he was also known for his aversion to routine and structure, often shirking responsibilities and deadlines. One day, Hans was out hiking in the mountains when he saw a group of hikers making their way up a steep trail. They were sweating and panting as they climbed higher, but Hans noticed that their faces were full of determination and joy. Feeling a sense of inspiration, Hans offered to join the group on their climb. As they made their way up the trail, he felt a sense of exhilaration at the challenge of the climb and the beauty of the scenery around him. But as he reached the summit and looked out at the breathtaking view, Hans realized that his aversion to routine and structure was causing him to miss out on the sense of accomplishment and fulfillment that comes from setting and achieving goals. From that day on, Hans made a conscious effort to find balance between adventure and routine, taking on responsibilities and setting goals for himself. He started a daily exercise routine and made a schedule for his work and leisure activities, finding that the structure actually helped him to feel more fulfilled and productive. Over time, Hans became known not just for his sense of adventure, but for his discipline and focus. He had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In the bustling city of New York, there lived a young woman named Emily. Emily was known for her strong work ethic and dedication to her career, often staying late at the office to ensure that projects were completed on time. But she was also known for her reluctance to take time off, feeling guilty for leaving her work behind. One day, Emily was walking through Central Park when she saw a group of children playing on the swings and slides. They were laughing and shouting as they ran around, but Emily noticed that their parents were sitting on the benches looking tired and stressed. Feeling a sense of compassion, Emily approached one of the parents and offered to take the children for a while so that the parents could have a break. As she played with the children and watched their carefree spirits, she realized that her own dedication to her work was causing her to miss out on the joys of life. From that day on, Emily made a conscious effort to take time off and enjoy the simple pleasures of life, as well as the more complex ones. She started taking weekends to explore the city and travel to nearby destinations, and made a point of spending time with friends and family. Over time, Emily became known not just for her work ethic, but for her balance and joyfulness. She had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In a small town in rural Africa, there lived a young man named Tunda. Tunda was known for his kindness and generosity, always willing to lend a helping hand to those in need. But he was also known for his reluctance to stand up for himself, often letting others take advantage of him. One day, Tunda was walking through the market when he saw a group of merchants haggling with a customer. They were shouting and arguing, but Tunda noticed that the customer was being treated unfairly and taken advantage of. Feeling a sense of compassion, Tunda stepped in and spoke up for the customer, using his voice to defend the man's rights. As he stood up for what was right, he felt a sense of empowerment and pride, realizing that his reluctance to speak up was causing him to be a victim of injustice. From that day on, Tunda made a conscious effort to stand up for himself and for others, using his voice to speak out against unfairness and inequality. He started attending community meetings and speaking up for the rights of marginalized groups, as well as setting boundaries and standing up for himself in his personal relationships. Over time, Tunda became known not just for his kindness, but for his strength and courage. He had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In a small village in India, there lived a young girl named Anjali. Anjali was known for her hard work and dedication to her studies, often staying up late into the night to complete her homework. But she was also known for her reluctance to socialize, feeling that her studies were more important than making friends. One day, Anjali was walking through the village when she saw a group of children playing a game of tag. They were laughing and shouting as they ran around, but Anjali noticed that one child was sitting on the sidelines, looking sad and lonely. Feeling a sense of compassion, Anjali approached the child and offered to play with him. As they played together, Anjali realized that her own dedication to her studies was causing her to miss out on the joys of childhood. From that day on, Anjali made a conscious effort to strike a balance between her studies and her social life. She started spending time with other children in the village, playing games and chatting with them after school. She also found that this helped her to focus better on her studies, as she felt more relaxed and happy. Over time, Anjali became known not just for her academic achievements, but for her warmth and friendliness. She had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In a remote village in the Amazon rainforest, there lived a young man named Juan. Juan was known for his resilience and strength, often going on long treks through the jungle to hunt and gather food for his family. But he was also known for his reluctance to ask for help, feeling that he needed to be self-sufficient to survive in the harsh environment. One day, Juan was on a hunting trip when he became lost in the jungle. He wandered for hours, feeling increasingly panicked and alone, until he came across a group of villagers who were fishing in a nearby river. Feeling a sense of desperation, Juan approached the villagers and asked for their help in finding his way back to his village. As they worked together to navigate the jungle, Juan realized that his own reluctance to ask for help was causing him to be isolated and vulnerable. From that day on, Juan made a conscious effort to ask for help when he needed it, and to work together with his community to support one another. He started attending village meetings and volunteering to help with community projects, as well as asking his family and friends for support when he faced challenges. Over time, Juan became known not just for his strength, but for his humility and willingness to ask for help. He had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In a small town in Europe, there lived a young woman named Sophie. Sophie was known for her perfectionism and attention to detail, often spending hours on end working on a single project until it was flawless. But she was also known for her reluctance to take risks and try new things, feeling that anything less than perfect was a failure. One day, Sophie was walking through the town square when she saw a group of musicians performing. They were playing lively tunes and dancing together, but Sophie noticed that they were making mistakes and improvising as they went along. Feeling a sense of curiosity, Sophie approached the musicians and asked if she could join in. As she started to play with them, she realized that her own perfectionism was causing her to miss out on the joy of improvisation and creativity. From that day on, Sophie made a conscious effort to embrace imperfection and take risks in her work and personal life. She started trying new things, experimenting with different ideas, and allowing herself to make mistakes. She found that this helped her to be more creative and innovative, as well as more relaxed and happy. Over time, Sophie became known not just for her attention to detail, but for her creativity and openness to new experiences. She had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In a bustling city in Asia, there lived a young man named Wei. Wei was known for his ambition and drive, often working long hours and sacrificing his personal life to advance his career. But he was also known for his reluctance to slow down and take care of his health, feeling that his work was more important than his well-being. One day, Wei was walking through a park when he saw a group of elderly people practicing Tai Chi. They were moving slowly and gracefully, but Wei noticed that they seemed to be more relaxed and content than many of the busy people around him. Feeling a sense of curiosity, Wei approached one of the Tai Chi practitioners and asked to join in. As he started to practice the movements, he realized that his own ambition and drive were causing him to neglect his health and well-being. From that day on, Wei made a conscious effort to prioritize his health and take time for self-care. He started going to the gym, practicing Tai Chi, and making healthier food choices. He found that this helped him to be more focused and productive in his work, as well as more relaxed and happy in his personal life. Over time, Wei became known not just for his ambition, but for his balance and self-care. He had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In a coastal town in Africa, there lived a young boy named Amos. Amos was known for his kindness and generosity, often sharing his food and toys with other children in the village. But he was also known for his reluctance to stand up for himself when others took advantage of his kindness. One day, Amos was playing with some friends near the shore when a group of older boys came along. They started taking Amos's toys and food, pushing him around and making fun of him. Amos felt helpless and scared, not knowing what to do. Feeling a sense of frustration, Amos's mother watched the scene from afar. She approached Amos and told him that a clean hand wants no washing, and that it was time for him to stand up for himself and assert his boundaries. From that day on, Amos made a conscious effort to assert his boundaries and stand up for himself when others tried to take advantage of his kindness. He started speaking up when he felt uncomfortable, and learned to say no when he didn't want to do something. He found that this helped him to feel more confident and in control of his life. Over time, Amos became known not just for his kindness, but for his strength and assertiveness. He had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In a mountain village in South America, there lived a young girl named Maria. Maria was known for her creativity and imagination, often spending hours drawing and writing stories. But she was also known for her reluctance to share her work with others, feeling that it was too personal and private to share. One day, Maria was walking through the village when she saw a group of artists and writers exhibiting their work in a local gallery. They were sharing their art and stories with others, and Maria felt a sense of longing to do the same. Feeling a sense of fear, Maria approached one of the artists and asked for advice on how to share her work with others. The artist told her that a clean hand wants no washing, and that it was time for her to overcome her fear and share her creativity with the world. From that day on, Maria made a conscious effort to share her work with others and embrace feedback from others. She started showing her drawings to friends and family, and even entered a writing contest in the village. She found that this helped her to connect with others on a deeper level, and to feel more confident in her creative abilities. Over time, Maria became known not just for her creativity, but for her willingness to share it with others. She had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. In a bustling city in Asia, there lived a hardworking man named Li. Li worked long hours at a factory, barely making enough money to support himself and his family. Despite his struggles, Li was known for his optimistic outlook on life and his willingness to help others. One day, Li's boss called him into his office and told him that he was being laid off due to the factory's financial struggles. Li felt a sense of despair, not knowing how he would support his family without a steady income. Feeling a sense of hopelessness, Li went to a local temple to pray for guidance. There, he met a wise monk who listened to his troubles and told him that a clean hand wants no washing, and that it was time for him to take control of his life and pursue his dreams. From that day on, Li made a conscious effort to explore his passions and pursue a career that would bring him fulfillment and joy. He started taking evening classes in graphic design and began freelancing as a graphic designer during the day. He found that he was happier than he had ever been, and that he was able to provide for his family in a more meaningful way. Over time, Li became known not just for his optimism and helpfulness, but for his creativity and talent as a graphic designer. He had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. By letting go of his fear and embracing his true passions, Li was able to find a new path in life that brought him joy and fulfillment. In a rural village in Europe, there lived a young woman named Anna. Anna was known for her strong work ethic and dedication to her family. She spent most of her days taking care of her siblings and helping her parents with chores around the house. Despite her hard work, Anna felt a sense of dissatisfaction with her life. She had always dreamed of traveling and experiencing new things, but felt trapped in her small village. One day, Anna met a traveler passing through the village. The traveler told her stories of his adventures and the places he had seen, sparking a sense of wanderlust in Anna. But she felt guilty for wanting more than what she had. Feeling a sense of conflict, Anna went to her grandmother for advice. Her grandmother told her that a clean hand wants no washing, and that it was time for her to follow her dreams and pursue the life she truly wanted. From that day on, Anna made a conscious effort to save money and plan for a trip to see the world. She started working extra hours in the village and selling handmade crafts to tourists passing through. Eventually, she was able to save enough money to buy a one-way ticket to a new country. Over time, Anna traveled to many different countries and experienced new cultures and ways of life. She found that the world was full of possibilities, and that she had so much more to offer than she had ever realized. When she returned home, Anna was known not just for her work ethic and dedication, but for her courage and sense of adventure. She had learned that sometimes, the things that we think we need the most are the very things that are holding us back from true happiness. By letting go of her guilt and following her dreams, Anna was able to find a new sense of purpose and fulfillment in her life. In a small village in Africa, there lived a young boy named Tunda. Tunda was known for his honesty and integrity. He always spoke the truth, even when it was difficult or unpopular. One day, Tunda was accused of stealing from his neighbor's home. Despite his protests of innocence, no one believed him. He felt frustrated and betrayed that his reputation was being tarnished. Feeling a sense of despair, Tunda went to his grandfather for advice. His grandfather told him that a clean hand wants no washing, and that he needed to stand up for himself and fight for his innocence. From that day on, Tunda made a conscious effort to gather evidence and prove his innocence. He talked to witnesses and found a security camera that had captured the real thief in action. With this evidence, Tunda was able to clear his name and regain the trust of his community. Over time, Tunda became known not just for his honesty and integrity, but for his courage and determination. He had learned that sometimes, the truth is not enough, and that we must fight for what is right. By standing up for himself and seeking justice, Tunda was able to find a new sense of pride and self-respect. In a remote village in South America, there lived a young girl named Maria. Maria was known for her kindness and generosity. She would often share her food and belongings with those who were less fortunate. One day, a group of travelers came to the village and asked for Maria's help. They were lost and hungry, and had nowhere to stay for the night. Maria welcomed them into her home and gave them all the food and shelter they needed. The next day, the travelers left without saying goodbye. Maria realized that they had taken some of her belongings with them. Feeling a sense of betrayal, Maria became bitter and resentful towards others. She no longer wanted to share what she had, believing that it would only lead to more pain and loss. Feeling a sense of despair, Maria went to the village elder for advice. The elder told her that a clean hand wants no washing, and that she needed to continue to be kind and generous, even in the face of disappointment. From that day on, Maria made a conscious effort to forgive the travelers and continue to be kind to others. She realized that the joy of giving was greater than the pain of losing, and that her generosity had made a difference in the lives of others. Over time, Maria became known not just for her kindness and generosity, but for her resilience and strength. She had learned that sometimes, we must take risks and be vulnerable in order to experience the joy and beauty of life. By continuing to give to others, even in the face of disappointment, Maria was able to find a new sense of purpose and fulfillment in her life. In a bustling city in Asia, there lived a successful businessman named Li. Li was known for his ambition and hard work. He had built a thriving company and was well respected in his industry. Despite his success, Li felt a sense of emptiness in his life. He had sacrificed his personal relationships and hobbies in order to achieve his goals, and felt that he was missing out on the things that truly mattered. One day, Li's elderly father came to visit him. Li's father had always been a wise and respected man in their community, and Li valued his opinion greatly. Li confided in his father, telling him about his sense of emptiness and his desire for more. His father simply said, "A clean hand wants no washing. Remember to always stay true to yourself and your values, no matter how successful you become." These words stuck with Li, and he began to reassess his priorities. He made a conscious effort to spend more time with his family and pursue his hobbies outside of work. Over time, Li became known not just for his ambition and success, but for his humility and kindness. He had learned that success without meaning was not truly success at all. By staying true to himself and his values, Li was able to find a new sense of purpose and fulfillment in his life, both personally and professionally. He had learned that a clean hand wants no washing, but that a fulfilled heart needs more than just success. In a small village in Europe, there lived a young woman named Anna. Anna was known for her beauty and charm, and many men in the village were interested in her. However, Anna was not interested in any of them. She was waiting for her true love, someone who would love her for who she truly was and not just for her looks. One day, a wealthy merchant came to the village and took an interest in Anna. He showered her with gifts and attention, but Anna could not bring herself to reciprocate his feelings. She knew that he only wanted her for her beauty and social status, and not for who she truly was. Feeling conflicted and unsure, Anna went to her grandmother for advice. Her grandmother told her, "A clean hand wants no washing. You must follow your heart and stay true to yourself, even if it means turning down offers of wealth and status." From that day on, Anna made a conscious effort to stay true to herself and not compromise her values for the sake of others. She continued to wait for her true love, even though it meant rejecting the offers of wealthy and powerful suitors. Over time, Anna became known not just for her beauty, but for her integrity and strength of character. She had learned that true love and happiness comes from being true to oneself, and not from the external validation of others. By staying true to her values and waiting for her true love, Anna was able to find a love that was deeper and more meaningful than she had ever imagined. In a rural village in Africa, there lived a young boy named Kofi. Kofi was known for his honesty and integrity, and was often asked to settle disputes and make decisions for the village. One day, a group of travelers came to the village and asked Kofi to keep a valuable item safe for them. They trusted Kofi because of his reputation for honesty and integrity, and believed that he would keep the item safe until they returned to claim it. However, after a few days, Kofi began to feel tempted by the valuable item. He thought about how much he could sell it for, and how it could improve his life and the lives of his family. Feeling conflicted, Kofi went to the village elder for advice. The elder told him, "A clean hand wants no washing. You must stay true to your values and not be tempted by the lure of material possessions." From that day on, Kofi made a conscious effort to stay true to his values and resist the temptation of the valuable item. He kept it safe and secure, and waited for the travelers to return to claim it. When the travelers finally returned, they were amazed and grateful that Kofi had kept their valuable item safe. They rewarded him with a small amount of money, but Kofi refused it, saying that he had only done what was right and that he did not need any reward. Over time, Kofi became known not just for his honesty and integrity, but for his selflessness and humility. He had learned that true happiness and fulfillment comes from staying true to one's values, even in the face of temptation and adversity. By staying true to his values, Kofi was able to gain the respect and admiration of his community, and become a role model for others to follow. In a remote mountain village in South America, there lived a young girl named Maria. Maria was known for her kindness and generosity, and would often give away her belongings to those in need. One day, a group of travelers came to the village and asked Maria for a place to stay. Maria welcomed them into her home, and shared her meager food and belongings with them. The travelers were impressed by Maria's generosity, and offered her a job in the city where she could earn a lot of money and live a comfortable life. Maria was tempted by the offer, as she had always dreamed of having more than what she currently had. Feeling conflicted, Maria went to her grandmother for advice. Her grandmother told her, "A clean hand wants no washing. Remember to always stay true to your values and not be tempted by the lure of material possessions." From that day on, Maria made a conscious effort to stay true to her values and resist the temptation of the job offer. She continued to live her simple life in the village, giving away her belongings to those in need. Over time, Maria became known not just for her kindness and generosity, but for her wisdom and strength of character. She had learned that true happiness and fulfillment comes from staying true to one's values, even when faced with the allure of wealth and material possessions. Years later, the travelers returned to the village and were amazed at the life that Maria had built for herself. She had become a beloved member of the community, and had inspired others to follow in her footsteps of generosity and kindness. By staying true to her values, Maria was able to live a life of meaning and purpose, and make a positive impact on the lives of those around her. In a bustling city in Asia, there lived a young man named Chen. Chen was known for his hard work and dedication, and had built a successful career as a businessman. One day, Chen was offered a lucrative deal that would bring him a lot of money, but would also require him to cut corners and engage in unethical practices. Chen was tempted by the offer, as he had always dreamed of achieving financial success and status. Feeling conflicted, Chen went to his mentor for advice. His mentor told him, "A clean hand wants no washing. Always remember to stay true to your values and not compromise your integrity for material gain." From that day on, Chen made a conscious effort to stay true to his values and resist the temptation of the unethical deal. He continued to work hard and build his career, but always did so with honesty and integrity. Over time, Chen became known not just for his business success, but for his ethics and values. He had learned that true success and fulfillment comes from staying true to one's values, even when faced with the allure of wealth and material possessions. Years later, Chen became a mentor himself, teaching other young businessmen the importance of integrity and ethics in business. He had become a respected figure in the business world, and had inspired a new generation of leaders to prioritize values over profit. By staying true to his values, Chen was able to achieve both financial success and personal fulfillment, and make a positive impact on the world around him. In a small village in Africa, there lived a young boy named Kwame. Kwame was known for his honesty and integrity, and would always speak the truth no matter the consequences. One day, Kwame's father came to him with a proposition. He asked Kwame to lie about the quality of the family's crops, so that they could sell them for a higher price at the market. Kwame was conflicted, as he had always been taught to tell the truth. Feeling unsure of what to do, Kwame went to the village elder for advice. The elder told him, "A clean hand wants no washing. Remember to always stay true to your values, even when it may be difficult or unpopular." From that day on, Kwame made a conscious effort to stay true to his values and resist the temptation of lying. He continued to help his family with the farm, but always did so with honesty and integrity. Over time, Kwame became known not just for his honesty, but for his leadership and courage. He had learned that true leadership and respect comes from staying true to one's values, even when faced with difficult decisions. Years later, Kwame became the village elder himself, and was respected by all for his wisdom and integrity. He had inspired a new generation to prioritize honesty and integrity, and had helped to build a community based on trust and respect. By staying true to his values, Kwame was able to make a positive impact on the lives of those around him, and leave a lasting legacy of honesty and integrity for future generations to follow. In a quiet town in Europe, there lived a young woman named Sophia. Sophia was a talented artist and had dreams of becoming a famous painter. However, she was struggling to make ends meet and pay for her art supplies. One day, Sophia was offered a commission to paint a portrait of a wealthy businessman. The businessman offered to pay her a large sum of money for the portrait, but requested that she paint him in a more flattering light than he actually appeared. Feeling conflicted, Sophia went to her mentor for advice. Her mentor told her, "A clean hand wants no washing. Always remember to stay true to your artistic vision and not compromise your integrity for financial gain." From that day on, Sophia made a conscious effort to stay true to her artistic vision and resist the temptation of the unethical commission. She continued to paint and create, but always did so with honesty and integrity. Over time, Sophia became known not just for her artistic talent, but for her integrity and principles. She had learned that true success and fulfillment comes from staying true to one's artistic vision and not compromising for financial gain. Years later, Sophia became a mentor herself, teaching other young artists the importance of staying true to their artistic vision and integrity. She had become a respected figure in the art world, and had inspired a new generation of artists to prioritize creativity and integrity over financial gain. By staying true to her artistic vision and principles, Sophia was able to achieve both artistic success and personal fulfillment, and make a positive impact on the art world around her. In a remote village in South America, there lived a young girl named Maria. Maria was known for her compassion and kindness, and would always go out of her way to help those in need. One day, Maria came across a group of refugees who had fled their homes due to a violent conflict. They were tired, hungry, and in need of shelter. Maria immediately felt compelled to help them, but she knew that helping them would put her own safety and security at risk. Feeling torn, Maria went to her grandmother for advice. Her grandmother told her, "A clean hand wants no washing. Remember to always follow your heart and help those in need, even when it may be difficult or dangerous." From that day on, Maria made a conscious effort to stay true to her compassionate spirit and help those in need, even when it meant putting herself at risk. She worked tirelessly to provide food and shelter for the refugees, and became a beacon of hope and kindness in her community. Over time, Maria's selflessness and kindness inspired others to join her in her efforts. They came together to provide support for the refugees, and formed a tight-knit community based on compassion and kindness. Years later, Maria's village had become a safe haven for refugees and a model for compassion and kindness. She had inspired a new generation to prioritize empathy and kindness over self-interest, and had made a positive impact on the lives of countless people. By staying true to her compassionate spirit and values, Maria was able to create a community based on kindness and empathy, and make a positive impact on the world around her. In a bustling city in Asia, there lived a young man named Jin. Jin was a hard-working and ambitious businessman, and had dreams of becoming a successful entrepreneur. However, he was often faced with ethical dilemmas in his business dealings. One day, Jin was offered a lucrative business opportunity that required him to engage in unethical practices. Feeling conflicted, Jin went to his mentor for advice. His mentor told him, "A clean hand wants no washing. Always remember to stay true to your values and principles, even when it may be difficult or costly." From that day on, Jin made a conscious effort to stay true to his values and principles, even when it meant passing up on lucrative business opportunities. He worked hard to build a successful business based on integrity and honesty, and earned a reputation as a fair and ethical businessman. Over time, Jin's reputation as a fair and ethical businessman attracted other like-minded individuals, and he was able to form a network of business partners who shared his values and principles. Together, they created a successful business community based on integrity and honesty. Years later, Jin had become a respected figure in the business world, and had inspired a new generation of entrepreneurs to prioritize integrity and ethics over financial gain. His business community had become a model for ethical and sustainable business practices, and had made a positive impact on the business world around them. By staying true to his values and principles, Jin was able to achieve both business success and personal fulfillment, and make a positive impact on the world around him. In a small village in Africa, there lived a young girl named Aisha. Aisha was a diligent student, and had dreams of becoming a doctor to help her community. However, she faced numerous obstacles along the way. One day, Aisha's parents fell ill, and she had to drop out of school to take care of them. With no income and no education, Aisha felt hopeless and lost. But she knew that helping her parents was the right thing to do, and she was determined to find a way to support them. Feeling overwhelmed, Aisha went to her grandmother for advice. Her grandmother told her, "A clean hand wants no washing. Remember to always stay true to your values and principles, even in the face of adversity. Your hard work and dedication will pay off in the end." From that day on, Aisha made a conscious effort to stay true to her values and principles. She worked hard to provide for her family, and found a way to continue her education through distance learning programs. Over time, Aisha's dedication and hard work paid off. She graduated from medical school and returned to her village to open a clinic, providing healthcare to those in need. She became a beacon of hope and inspiration in her community, inspiring other young girls to pursue their dreams and stay true to their values and principles. Years later, Aisha's clinic had become a vital resource in her community, providing medical care and education to those in need. She had inspired a new generation of young girls to pursue their dreams and make a positive impact on the world around them. By staying true to her values and principles, Aisha was able to overcome adversity and make a positive impact on her community. She proved that hard work and dedication can lead to success, and that staying true to one's values and principles is key to achieving personal fulfillment and making a positive impact on the world. In a small town in Europe, there lived a young woman named Anna. Anna was a talented artist, but struggled to make a living from her art. She often found herself compromising her artistic vision to please clients and make a profit. One day, Anna was offered a commission that required her to create a piece that went against her artistic values and principles. Feeling conflicted, Anna went to her mentor for advice. Her mentor told her, "A clean hand wants no washing. Always remember to stay true to your artistic vision and principles, even when it may be difficult or costly." From that day on, Anna made a conscious effort to stay true to her artistic vision and principles. She refused commissions that went against her values and principles, and focused on creating art that was meaningful and true to her vision. Over time, Anna's dedication to her art and her principles paid off. She gained a following of supporters who appreciated her honesty and authenticity, and her art began to gain recognition and appreciation in the art world. Years later, Anna had become a successful artist, known for her honesty and authenticity in her work. She had inspired a new generation of artists to stay true to their artistic vision and principles, and had made a positive impact on the art world around her. By staying true to her artistic vision and principles, Anna was able to achieve artistic success and personal fulfillment, and make a positive impact on the world around her. She proved that staying true to one's values and principles is key to achieving success and making a positive impact on the world. In a bustling city in Asia, there lived a young man named Wei. Wei was a successful businessman, but he often found himself compromising his values and principles in order to make a profit. He knew that his actions were not always ethical, but he felt that he had no choice in order to succeed in the competitive business world. One day, Wei's grandfather came to visit him. Upon seeing the stress and worry on Wei's face, his grandfather said to him, "A clean hand wants no washing. Remember to always stay true to your values and principles, even in the face of temptation and pressure. Success is not worth sacrificing your integrity. From that day on, Wei made a conscious effort to stay true to his values and principles. He refused to engage in unethical business practices, even when it meant losing potential profits or clients. He focused on building genuine relationships with his clients and employees, and on creating a business that was rooted in integrity and ethics. Over time, Wei's dedication to his values and principles paid off. His business gained a reputation for being honest and trustworthy, and he gained the respect and admiration of his peers and colleagues. He found that success was not only measured in profits and numbers, but in the positive impact he was making on the world around him. Years later, Wei's business had become a leader in the industry, known for its ethical and sustainable practices. He had inspired a new generation of entrepreneurs to prioritize ethics and integrity in their businesses, and had made a positive impact on the business world around him. By staying true to his values and principles, Wei was able to achieve success and make a positive impact on the world around him. He proved that staying true to one's values and principles is not only the ethical choice, but the key to long-term success and making a positive impact on the world. In a rural village in Africa, there lived a young girl named Ijoa. Ijoa was known in her village for her honesty and integrity. She always spoke the truth, and never took what did not belong to her, even if it meant going without. Her mother used to say to her, "A clean hand wants no washing." Always remember to be honest and truthful, even when it may be difficult or challenging. One day, Ijoa found a wallet lying on the ground while on her way to school. She picked it up and saw that it was full of money. She could have easily taken the money and used it for her own purposes, but she knew that it was not the right thing to do. She decided to return the wallet to its owner, even though it meant being late for school. Ijoa went to the owner's house and returned the wallet to him. The owner was grateful and impressed by Ijoa's honesty. He decided to give Ijoa a scholarship to attend school and pursue her dreams of becoming a doctor. Over time, Ijoa's dedication to honesty and integrity paid off. She became a successful doctor, known for her honesty and integrity in her work. She used her skills and knowledge to help the people in her village and make a positive impact on their lives. Years later, Ijoa had become a leader in her community, known for her honesty and integrity. She had inspired a new generation of young people to prioritize honesty and integrity in their lives, and had made a positive impact on the world around her. By staying true to her values and principles, Ijoa was able to achieve success and make a positive impact on the world around her. She proved that staying true to one's values and principles is not only the right thing to do, but the key to achieving success and making a positive impact on the world. In a small town in Europe, there lived a young man named Lucas. Lucas was known in his town for his hard work and dedication to his family's farm. He always took care of his animals and crops with great care and attention to detail. His father used to say to him, "A clean hand wants no washing." Always remember to work hard and take pride in your work, even when no one is watching. One day, Lucas's town was hit by a severe storm that damaged many of the farms and crops. Lucas's farm was hit hard, and he lost a significant amount of his crops. Lucas knew that he needed to work hard to restore his farm and provide for his family, but he felt discouraged and overwhelmed by the damage. Despite this, Lucas decided to take action. He spent long hours repairing the damage to his farm and replanting his crops. He worked tirelessly, with a sense of determination and purpose, even when it felt like he was making no progress. Over time, Lucas's dedication and hard work paid off. His farm was restored, and his crops flourished. He became known in his town as a hard-working and dedicated farmer, and his farm became a source of pride for his family and community. Years later, Lucas's farm had become a thriving business, known for its high-quality produce and dedication to sustainable farming practices. He had inspired a new generation of young farmers to prioritize hard work and dedication in their work, and had made a positive impact on the agricultural industry in his country. By staying true to his values and principles of hard work and dedication, Lucas was able to achieve success and make a positive impact on the world around him. He proved that by taking pride in one's work and persevering through challenges, one can achieve great things and make a positive impact on the world. In a bustling city in Asia, there lived a young woman named May. May was known in her city for her kindness and compassion towards others. She always went out of her way to help those in need, even if it meant sacrificing her own time and resources. Her grandmother used to say to her, "A clean hand wants no washing." Always remember to be kind and compassionate towards others, even when it may be difficult or challenging. One day, while walking home from work, May saw a homeless man sleeping on the street. She noticed that he was shivering in the cold and looked malnourished. May knew that she had to help him, so she went to a nearby convenience store and bought some food and warm clothing for him. May spent the evening talking to the homeless man and listening to his story. She learned that he had lost his job and his home due to a gambling addiction, and had nowhere to turn. May knew that she could not solve all of his problems, but she was determined to help him in any way she could. Over time, May's compassion and kindness paid off. She became known in her city as a beacon of hope and support for those in need. She started a charity organization to help the homeless and those struggling with addiction, and her organization quickly grew to become one of the largest in the city. Years later, May's charity had become a national organization, known for its compassion and dedication to helping those in need. She had inspired a new generation of young people to prioritize kindness and compassion in their lives, and had made a positive impact on the world around her. By staying true to her values and principles of kindness and compassion, May was able to achieve success and make a positive impact on the world around her. She proved that by showing empathy and support towards others, one can make a significant difference in the lives of those around them, and create a more compassionate and caring world. In a remote village in Africa, there lived a young boy named Sifo. Sifo was known in his village for his honesty and integrity. He always spoke the truth, even when it was difficult or uncomfortable. His mother used to say to him, "A clean hand wants no washing." Always remember to be honest and true to yourself, even when it may not be easy. One day, while walking home from school, Sifo saw a group of boys bullying a younger child. He knew that he had to intervene, so he stepped in and told the boys to stop. The boys turned their attention to Sifo, taunting him and calling him names. Sifo remained calm and stood his ground, refusing to back down. Over time, Sifo's honesty and integrity paid off. He became known in his village as a role model for other young people, and his peers looked up to him as a leader. He was elected as the student council president and used his position to advocate for the rights of marginalized students. Years later, Sifo had become a successful lawyer, known for his honesty and integrity in his profession. He had made a positive impact on his community, advocating for justice and equality for all. He had inspired a new generation of young people to prioritize honesty and integrity in their lives, and had made a positive impact on the legal profession in his country. By staying true to his values and principles of honesty and integrity, Sifo was able to achieve success and make a positive impact on the world around him. He proved that by being true to oneself and standing up for what is right, one can make a significant difference in the world and create a more just and equitable society. In a small town in Europe, there lived a young man named Stefan. Stefan was known in his town for his hard work and determination. He always pushed himself to be the best he could be, never settling for mediocrity. His father used to say to him, "A clean hand wants no washing." Always remember to work hard and never give up on your dreams, even when it may be difficult or challenging. One day, while working at his job as a carpenter, Stefan was approached by a wealthy client who asked him to build a grand staircase for his mansion. Stefan had never built such a staircase before, but he saw this as an opportunity to challenge himself and push his limits. For months, Stefan worked tirelessly on the staircase, putting in long hours and dedicating himself to the project. He faced numerous challenges and setbacks, but he refused to give up. His dedication and hard work paid off, and he completed the staircase on time and to the highest standards of craftsmanship. Over time, Stefan's hard work and determination paid off. He became known in his town as a master carpenter, and his work was sought after by clients across the region. He took on increasingly complex and challenging projects, always pushing himself to be the best he could be. Years later, Stefan had become one of the most respected carpenters in Europe, known for his dedication and commitment to his craft. He had inspired a new generation of young carpenters to prioritize hard work and determination in their lives, and had made a positive impact on the world around him. By staying true to his values and principles of hard work and determination, Stefan was able to achieve success and make a positive impact on the world around him. He proved that by pushing oneself to be the best one can be and never giving up on one's dreams, one can make a significant difference in the world and create a better future for oneself and others. In a bustling city in Asia, there lived a young woman named May. May was known in her city for her compassion and kindness. She always went out of her way to help others, even when it meant putting her own needs aside. Her grandmother used to say to her, "A clean hand wants no washing." Always remember to be kind and compassionate, even when it may not be convenient or easy. One day, while walking through the city, May saw an elderly woman struggling to carry heavy bags of groceries. May immediately offered to help, and the woman gratefully accepted. May carried the bags for the woman, walking her all the way to her home and making sure she was safely inside. The woman was so touched by May's kindness that she invited her inside for tea, and the two spent the afternoon talking and laughing together. Over time, May's compassion and kindness paid off. She became known in her city as a tireless advocate for those in need, volunteering at homeless shelters and advocating for the rights of marginalized communities. She used her platform to raise awareness about issues such as poverty and inequality, inspiring others to take action and make a difference in their own communities. Years later, May had become a well-respected social activist, known for her compassion and dedication to making the world a better place. She had inspired a new generation of young people to prioritize kindness and compassion in their lives, and had made a positive impact on the world around her. By staying true to her values and principles of kindness and compassion, May was able to achieve success and make a positive impact on the world. She proved that by going out of one's way to help others and standing up for what is right, one can make a significant difference in the world and create a more just and equitable society. In a small village in Africa, there lived a young girl named Adana. Adana was known in her village for her creativity and imagination. She was always coming up with new ideas and ways to make things better. Her mother used to say to her, "A clean hand wants no washing." Always remember to use your creativity to make the world a better place, even when it may seem impossible or daunting. One day, while walking through the village, Adana saw that many of the children did not have access to books or educational materials. Adana had always loved books and believed that education was the key to unlocking one's potential. She decided to take action and started collecting books from friends and family, and soon had enough to start a small library in the village. Adana's library quickly became a popular destination for children in the village. They would come to borrow books, and Adana would often organize reading circles and educational activities to help them learn and grow. Adana's creativity and dedication paid off, and soon other villages began to take notice of her work. She became known in the region as a passionate advocate for education, and her library became a model for other communities to follow. Over time, Adana's library grew and expanded, and she began to partner with local organizations and businesses to provide even more resources and support to the children in her village. Her work inspired a new generation of young people to prioritize education and creativity in their lives, and had a positive impact on the world around her. Years later, Adana had become a respected educator and community leader, known for her creativity and dedication to improving the lives of others. She had inspired countless young people to pursue their dreams and make a positive impact on the world. By staying true to her values and principles of creativity and education, Adana was able to achieve success and make a positive impact on the world. She proved that by taking action and using one's talents and resources to make the world a better place, one can make a significant difference in the world and create a brighter future for oneself and others. In a small town in the countryside, there lived a man named Henry. Henry was known for his hard work and dedication to his farm, where he grew a variety of fruits and vegetables. He took great pride in his work and always made sure that everything was done to the best of his ability. One day, a group of travelers passed through Henry's town. They had been on the road for several days and were tired and thirsty. When they reached Henry's farm, they asked him for a drink of water. Henry welcomed them onto his farm and gave them water to drink. As the travelers rested, Henry noticed that their clothes were tattered and worn. He realized that they had been on the road for a long time and did not have much with them. He offered them a meal and a place to stay for the night. The travelers gratefully accepted his offer and spent the night at Henry's farm. The next day, as the travelers were getting ready to leave, they offered to pay Henry for his kindness. But Henry refused, saying that he was simply doing what was right. The travelers were amazed by Henry's generosity and kindness, and they left feeling grateful and inspired. Word of Henry's kindness soon spread throughout the region, and people began to come from far and wide to visit his farm and see the man who had shown such remarkable compassion. Henry was humbled by the attention, but he remained true to his values, always treating everyone who came to his farm with the same kindness and generosity that he had shown the travelers. Over time, Henry's farm became known as a place of peace and goodwill, where people could come to rest, reflect, and find inspiration. His reputation grew, and he became a beloved figure in his town and beyond. Henry's story shows that a clean hand wants no washing. By doing what is right and showing kindness to others, we can make a positive impact on the world and inspire others to do the same. It doesn't take a lot to make a difference, and even the smallest acts of kindness can have a ripple effect that reaches far beyond our own lives. There was once a young girl named Sophia who grew up in a small village. Sophia was known for her intelligence and quick wit, and she had a thirst for knowledge that could not be quenched. She spent most of her days reading books and learning about the world around her. One day, Sophia's village was visited by a group of travelers from a far-off land. They had come to trade goods and learn about the local customs and traditions. Sophia was fascinated by the travelers and spent hours talking to them, asking them questions about their culture and way of life. As the day wore on, the travelers began to pack up their wares and prepare to leave. Sophia, who had grown fond of them, begged them to stay a while longer. But the travelers explained that they had to move on, as they still had a long journey ahead of them. Feeling sad and alone, Sophia went home and began to think about all the things she wanted to learn and experience in life. She knew that she would never be able to travel to far-off lands like the travelers, but she was determined to find a way to learn about the world. Sophia decided to focus all of her energy on studying and learning. She read every book she could get her hands on and spent hours talking to anyone who would listen about their experiences and knowledge. Years went by, and Sophia became one of the most knowledgeable people in the village. She was respected and admired by all who knew her and was sought out for her advice and guidance. Sophia's thirst for knowledge had led her to become an expert in many different fields, and she had become a true inspiration to others. Sophia's story shows that a clean hand wants no washing. By focusing on our passions and doing what we love, we can make a positive impact on the world and inspire others to follow their own dreams. It's important to never give up on our goals and to keep striving for excellence, even in the face of adversity. With hard work and determination, anything is possible. In the bustling city of New York, there lived a young woman named Lily who was a successful executive at a top advertising firm. Lily had worked hard to get where she was, and she was proud of all that she had accomplished. She had a beautiful apartment, designer clothes, and a busy social life. One day, Lily's company was hired to work on a project for a nonprofit organization that helped people in need. Lily was put in charge of the project, and she was excited to use her skills to make a positive impact on the world. As she delved deeper into the project, Lily realized that there was much more to life than just her career and material possessions. She met people who had faced unimaginable hardships and struggles, yet they remained kind and hopeful. Lily was moved by their resilience and began to question her own priorities. Lily realized that she had been so focused on achieving success and accumulating wealth that she had lost sight of what was truly important in life. She began to volunteer at the nonprofit organization, spending her free time helping those in need. She also started to simplify her life, letting go of material possessions that she no longer needed or wanted. As Lily started to focus on what was truly important to her, she found that she was happier and more fulfilled than ever before. She discovered that a clean hand wants no washing. By living a life that was true to her values, she no longer felt the need to constantly strive for more. She was content with what she had, and her heart was filled with gratitude for the blessings in her life. Lily's story shows that sometimes we need to step back and re-evaluate our priorities. It's important to focus on what truly matters in life, our relationships, our passions, and our values. By living a life that is true to ourselves, we can find happiness and fulfillment, and we can make a positive impact on the world around us. As Lily continued to volunteer and work with the nonprofit organization, she met a man named Jack who was also passionate about helping others. Jack was a lawyer who specialized in pro bono work for people in need. They bonded over their shared values and the work they were doing, and soon they started dating. Jack encouraged Lily to take a sabbatical from her job and focus on her volunteer work for a while. Lily was hesitant at first, worried about the impact it would have on her career, but she eventually decided to take the leap. During her time off, Lily traveled to different parts of the world to work on various projects. She helped build schools in Africa, worked on sustainable farming projects in South America, and volunteered at a refugee camp in the Middle East. Everywhere she went, Lily was struck by the kindness and generosity of the people she met, and she felt privileged to be able to make a positive impact in their lives. After a year of traveling and volunteering, Lily returned to New York, feeling more grounded and fulfilled than ever before. She resumed her job at the advertising firm, but this time with a renewed sense of purpose. Lily used her position to advocate for causes she cared about, and she encouraged her colleagues to get involved in volunteer work. Lily also remained close to Jack, and they continued to work together on various projects. Their shared values and passion for helping others brought them even closer together, and eventually, they decided to get married. Years later, Lily looked back on her journey and realized that it was the experiences she had volunteering and helping others that gave her life meaning and purpose. She had learned that a clean hand wants no washing. By living a life that was true to her values, she found happiness and fulfillment that no amount of money or material possessions could ever provide. Lily's story is a reminder that it's never too late to make a change and start living a life that is true to your values. By taking small steps towards what truly matters to you, you can create a life that is meaningful and fulfilling. And by helping others along the way, you can make a positive impact on the world around you. As a young girl, Sophia had always been fascinated by the stars. She would spend hours gazing up at the night sky, marveling at the beauty and mist area of the universe. As she grew older, her interest in astronomy deepened, and she decided to pursue it as a career. Sophia enrolled in a prestigious university to study astronomy and astrophysics. She threw herself into her studies, spending countless hours in the lab and poring over textbooks. Despite the intense workload, Sophia loved every minute of it, and she knew that she had found her true calling. After graduating with top honors, Sophia landed a job at a research institute where she could study the stars full-time. She was thrilled to finally be doing what she loved, and she threw herself into her work with a passion. As Sophia's career progressed, however, she began to feel like something was missing. She loved her work, but she felt like it was all for nothing if it didn't make a difference in the world. She wanted to use her knowledge and expertise to make a positive impact on society, but she didn't know where to start. One day, Sophia stumbled upon an article about a nonprofit organization that was dedicated to providing astronomy education and resources to underprivileged communities. The organization aimed to inspire young people to pursue careers in astronomy, regardless of their background or financial means. Sophia was immediately inspired by the organization's mission, and she decided to get involved. She contacted the organization and offered her services as a volunteer, and they were thrilled to have her on board. As a volunteer, Sophia worked to develop astronomy curriculum and teach classes to children in underprivileged communities. She also helped organize stargazing events and telescope demonstrations, which were always a hit with the kids. Through her work with the nonprofit organization, Sophia realized that a clean hand wants no washing. She had always been passionate about astronomy, but it wasn't until she used her knowledge to help others that she truly felt fulfilled. She realized that the work she was doing was making a difference in the lives of these children, and that was more meaningful than anything she had ever done before. Over time, Sophia became more and more involved with the organization, eventually taking on a leadership role. She used her position to advocate for more funding and resources for the organization, and she worked tirelessly to expand their reach and impact. Years later, Sophia looked back on her journey and felt proud of what she had accomplished. She had followed her passion for astronomy and used it to make a positive impact on the world. She had learned that a life lived for others is a life well lived, and she was grateful for the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of those around her. As a young man, Tom had always been interested in environmental conservation. He loved spending time outdoors and felt a deep connection to nature. When he graduated from college, he knew that he wanted to dedicate his life to protecting the environment. Tom landed a job with an environmental organization, where he worked to raise awareness about the importance of conservation and sustainability. He gave presentations at schools and community centers, wrote articles for local newspapers, and organized community events to promote environmental awareness. Tom was passionate about his work, but he found that many people were resistant to change. They didn't want to make the sacrifices necessary to protect the environment, and they often dismissed his message as unimportant. Tom struggled with how to reach these people and convince them of the importance of environmental conservation. He knew that his message was important, but he couldn't seem to get through to those who needed to hear it the most. One day, Tom had a breakthrough. He realized that a clean hand wants no washing. In other words, people who were already committed to protecting the environment were the most receptive to his message. Instead of trying to convince skeptics, Tom began focusing on building a community of people who were already passionate about conservation. Tom started organizing events specifically for people who were already committed to protecting the environment. He started a local conservation club and began hosting monthly meetings, where people could come together to share ideas and strategies for protecting the environment. Over time, the conservation club grew in size and influence. Members of the club began volunteering for local conservation projects, like cleaning up beaches and parks, and their efforts began to make a noticeable impact on the community. Tom's strategy of focusing on people who were already committed to protecting the environment proved to be successful. As the conservation club grew, it became a beacon of hope for others in the community who were on the fence about environmental issues. They saw the positive impact that the club was making, and they began to take notice. In the end, Tom learned that sometimes it's better to focus on the people who are already on your side than to try to convince skeptics. By building a strong community of people who were committed to protecting the environment, Tom was able to create a ripple effect that eventually spread to the broader community. He learned that a clean hand wants no washing, and that by focusing on the people who were already committed to conservation, he was able to create a powerful force for change. Sophie had always been a stickler for cleanliness. She was the kind of person who washed her hands multiple times a day and carried hand sanitizer with her everywhere she went. She was obsessive about keeping things clean and germ-free. Sophie's obsession with cleanliness extended to her personal relationships as well. She was very selective about who she spent time with, and she avoided people who she perceived as unclean or unhealthy. One day, Sophie met a man named Ben at a work conference. Ben was friendly and outgoing, and he had a warm and welcoming personality. Sophie was immediately drawn to him, but she couldn't help but notice that he seemed a little rough around the edges. His clothes were wrinkled, and his hair was unkempt. Sophie was a little put off by his appearance, but she decided to give him a chance. Over time, Sophie and Ben began to spend more time together. They went on hikes, had picnics in the park, and even traveled together. Despite her reservations about Ben's appearance, Sophie found herself enjoying his company more and more. One day, Sophie and Ben were out for a walk when they came across a small stream. Sophie immediately noticed that her hands were dirty from the walk, and she pulled out her hand sanitizer to clean them. Ben, on the other hand, simply dipped his hands in the stream and wiped them off on his pants. Sophie was horrified. She couldn't believe that Ben would be so careless about his hygiene. She started to pull away from him, avoiding his touch and keeping her distance. Ben noticed Sophie's reaction, and he asked her what was wrong. Sophie explained that she was uncomfortable with his lack of cleanliness, and that she didn't want to get sick. Ben smiled and said, "A clean hand wants no washing." He explained that he didn't believe in being overly obsessive about cleanliness, and that he thought it was important to have a balanced approach to hygiene. He told Sophie that he respected her approach, but that he didn't think it was necessary to be so extreme. Sophie was taken aback by Ben's response. She had never considered that her obsession with cleanliness might be excessive. She started to think about the ways in which her obsession had impacted her life, and she realized that she had missed out on a lot of experiences because of it. Over time, Sophie began to adopt a more balanced approach to cleanliness. She still washed her hands and carried hand sanitizer with her, but she also started to let go of some of her more extreme habits. She continued to spend time with Ben, and she learned to appreciate his approach to hygiene. In the end, Sophie learned that sometimes it's important to let go of our obsessions and embrace a more balanced approach to life. She learned that a clean hand wants no washing, and that it's possible to be both clean and healthy without being obsessive. Lena had always been proud of her clean hands. She was a nurse, and she knew the importance of hygiene in preventing the spread of disease. She washed her hands multiple times a day, and she was meticulous about disinfecting surfaces and equipment. One day, Lena was assigned to care for a patient named Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith was an elderly man who had been hospitalized for a severe infection. Lena was determined to do everything in her power to help him recover, but she was surprised to find that he didn't seem to care about cleanliness at all. He would often refuse to wash his hands or clean his surroundings, and he would touch things that Lena knew were contaminated. Lena was frustrated with Mr. Smith's behavior, but she didn't want to give up on him. She decided to talk to him about the importance of hygiene and how it could help him recover. To her surprise, Mr. Smith was not convinced. He told Lena that he had lived a long and healthy life without being obsessive about cleanliness, and that he didn't see why he should change his habits now. Lena was at a loss. She knew that hygiene was critical to Mr. Smith's recovery, but she didn't know how to convince him to take it seriously. She decided to take a different approach. Instead of trying to convince Mr. Smith with words, she decided to show him the importance of cleanliness through actions. Lena began to clean Mr. Smith's room more frequently, and she made sure that all of his equipment was disinfected regularly. She started to wash her hands in front of him, and she would explain why she was doing it. She even went as far as to bring in pictures of bacteria and germs to show Mr. Smith what he was up against. Slowly but surely, Mr. Smith began to take hygiene more seriously. He started washing his hands and cleaning his surroundings, and he even began to ask Lena for tips on how to maintain good hygiene. Lena was thrilled with his progress, and she was happy to see that her actions had made a difference. In the end, Lena learned that sometimes actions speak louder than words. She learned that a clean hand wants no washing, and that it's possible to convince someone to change their habits by leading by example. She was proud of Mr. Smith for taking hygiene seriously, and she was happy to have been a part of his recovery.